Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about TikTok because the FBI director here in the United States has actually posed a very interesting question that I kind of want to talk about. I want to debate some of the viewpoints on and kind of get to the bottom of this one, right? Because it's definitely an interesting point that can be made, and I think a lot of people already actually have this concern. In fact, if you remember back in 2020, former President Donald Trump actually went through efforts to try and ban TikTok here in the United States because of concerns like this. And it's pretty insane that this is kind of coming full circle now, and we're seeing, even to this day, there's concern in government about TikTok and what it could do. So I wanted to come here and kind of talk about this because I feel like while this is an important issue, we should focus on the larger issue at hand. And I think if more people did that, we would be better off here in the United States in general. So the idea is that TikTok could potentially pose a national security threat here in the United States. You know, a lot of people use TikTok. There's millions upon millions of people who use it every single day. It's one of the most popular, fastest growing social media apps, and it's definitely made its mark. And there's a lot of concern that because of how much of a mark that it's making, especially on the youth of America, that it could pose a legitimate national security risk because, well, essentially, the Chinese government could potentially have access to the data of millions of Americans. The US operations of Chinese-owned TikTok raise national security concerns, FBI Director Chris Wray said on Tuesday, flagging the risk that the Chinese government could harness the video sharing app to influence users or control their devices. Risks include the possibility that the Chinese government could use TikTok to control data collection on millions of users or control the recommendation algorithm, which could be used for influence operations, Wray told US lawmakers. So there's a couple different dangers that could really be posed if this is like a legitimate concern for the US. One of these could be, yes, the data collection on millions of Americans, hypothetically, because the Chinese government is so restrictive of what Chinese companies do, and they get so much access to the internals of these companies. There's worries that the Chinese government could access data on all the Americans using TikTok. You can see why that would definitely be a bad thing, and it's something to be concerned about. Now, also at the same time, what if China uses TikTok to influence the thoughts, opinions, and information that are basically given and developed by Americans? I mean, what if they develop an algorithm that pushes and promotes pro-China content, right? Like, what if that's a possibility? There's a lot of concerns, and I do understand the risks, but I think there's a larger conversation to be had at hand, and I think TikTok is only a small part of it. Sure, this could be more lethal because we're talking about an outside influence, getting this kind of power, but you got to keep in mind the same concerns that we're having about TikTok right now should be the same concerns that we've also had towards American tech companies like Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, all these different companies that people use, all these massive technology giants, all these social media companies, and these large online platforms, and the companies that supply these platforms, they all need to be looked at the exact same way. Just because they're American companies doesn't make what's happening any different. But of course, let's stay on topic for now and let's talk about TikTok. When asked about the FBI's role in the CFIUS investigation, Wray said the agency's foreign investment unit was part of the CFIUS process. Quote, "Our input would be taken into account in any agreements that might be made to address the issue," he added. Wray noted Chinese companies are required to essentially, quote, "do whatever the Chinese government wants them to in terms of sharing information or serving as a tool of the Chinese government," and so that's plenty of reason by itself to be extremely concerned. A TikTok spokesperson said, quote, "As Director Wray specified in his remarks, the FBI's input is being considered as part of our ongoing negotiations with the US government. While we can't comment on the specifics of these confidential discussions, we are confident that we are on a path to fully satisfy all reasonable US national security concerns." Former President Donald Trump in 2020 attempted to block new users from downloading WeChat and TikTok and ban other transactions that would have effectively blocked the app's use in the United States, but lost a series of court battles over the measure. President Joe Biden in June 2021 withdrew a series of Trump executive orders that sought to ban new downloads of the apps and ordered the Commerce Department to conduct a review of security concerns posed by the apps. Any security agreement with TikTok is expected to include data security requirements. Okay, so this is actually huge information because essentially what it's telling us is that if there was any sort of security agreement between the US government and TikTok, there would be safeguards in place to protect the data privacy of all the Americans using TikTok. Now, One thing I want to say, and this is something that I want to talk about, and I've talked about in other videos before too, data privacy is something that's important to me personally, right? I think data privacy is a fundamental human right. I believe that you should have the right to privacy regardless, and this is an extension of that, right? Because these social media companies and these massive tech giants, what they do is they make billions of dollars off of collecting your data. The US government is worried that Americans are essentially going to become guinea pigs of the Chinese government, right? Because if they get access to the back end of TikTok and they're looking through all of the data and, they're collecting data on Americans, there's a lot that the Chinese government could do with something like that. And it's understandable. That is a concern. It's valid. But at the same time, if people are going to worry so much about, this Chinese company, what is TikTok doing to Americans, right? Why do we not get the same level of care and respect about talking about these American companies that are doing the same shit? Like, you think Google is better than ByteDance because it's an American company? Like, yeah, maybe. Sure, it is a little bit less risky, but they're still doing 90% the same shit. And all these American companies are all in the pockets of China too. Like, let's not sit here and pretend like Google wasn't literally building a custom search engine for the Chinese government that was essentially a firewall that blocked Chinese users from searching certain terms. If you don't believe me, go ahead and look up Project Dragonfly on Google and look into that one real quick, because that's pretty incredible. Like, it's not even a conspiracy theory. These American companies are doing crazy shit too. Where's the US government's investigations into that? Where is consumer privacy and protection agencies and shit? What are they doing about that? At the end of the day, I want the whole issue addressed, Like, yeah, sure, TikTok, it can be a national security threat, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I use TikTok and I enjoy TikTok, it's a decent platform for entertainment, right? But to pretend that it comes without risk is just foolish, you know what I mean? But at the same time, this is kind of a beast that we created in all reality. Like, TikTok is the culmination of 20 years of American social medias coming and going, and it just perfects the algorithm. That's pretty much all it is. Like, Facebook and Twitter walked and YouTube walked so Vine could run, so TikTok could run. You know what I mean? These American companies are doing the same bullshit and they get away with it. No one cares about that. No one says anything about that. But we all want to turn our head and scoff and scream when suddenly China's doing the same thing. Spoiler alert to anyone who didn't know, the US government is not your friend. These people do not care about you. There is ulterior motives at hand here. This is all a big part of the political game that's been getting played in Washington, D.C. for decades now. They've been doing this fucking little do-si-do bullshit with China for however long. One day the relationship's improving, one day it's almost World War III. This is not about protecting Americans. This is not about making sure you're safe, right? This is about whatever it is between them and China. It's a geopolitical game to see which company, which country even can be the most impactful on the planet. They're playing a game of superpowers. Is China gonna overtake the US one day, or is the USA gonna stay on top? That's what it's really about. Because if the federal government cared about your data rights and about your protections as an American, there wouldn't be the Patriot Act and all this other bullshit going on. And they wouldn't be working so hard to distract you from the fact that American companies have been robbing your fucking data blind to the tunes of basically trillions of dollars for the last 2 decades. That Apple smartphone that you and I have, it's listening to everything we say. And I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. Everything I'm saying is actually fact. You can look up anything I'm saying and there's legitimate evidence to back it up. This Apple phone that I have is listening to everything I say, and the NSA hears it. All of your banking information is constantly seen by the government too, whether or not you want to admit and see that. That way they can audit people and shit. Your search history, your keystrokes and everything, dude, it's all fucking watched. Every piece of data conceivable about you as a human being is sitting in a database somewhere in Silicon Valley. Actually, it's not sitting in one database, it's sitting in about 4 million of them, right? This is nothing new. Okay, so don't worry too hard about it, because the truth is, if something's gonna happen, it's already gonna happen. Your data is already on TikTok if you use it. It's already, yeah, there's already the problem, right? So if you're gonna worry too hard about this, worry about the entire issue too, okay? That's all I wanted to say in this video. I don't want to downplay the issue or make it seem like I don't think we should be investigating this, because we should. But to pretend it's the only issue, like, come on now, guys, let's get serious here. So with that being said though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @subtooptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus talking about TikTok being a national security concern and signing out.